I hear, go get the money. So I go get it. Hate means I do something right. So I'ma let him. Yeah, I'ma let him. Yeah, I'ma let him. I hit the nail on the head. Yeah, I'ma let him. All I hear, go get the money.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What is going on, Jets Guru and Jets Guru faithful? I am here yet again on another Thursday for you guys, covering all your latest and up-to-date New York Jet news, including the great fan opinion of Krista and Ramon and myself, and the great works behind the scenes of JR, or whatever we want to call him, Garen or Mr. Brower, but he's our producer. He's putting together some nice stuff for us throughout the season. And I can't wait to actually get, a full off season for our crew, for the Jets Guru crew, kind of talk about things. We'll have our meetings and try to give you guys the best up-to-date New York Jets, program that's out there, and give you guys something to, listen to and to watch weekly. A lot of us love sports throughout the year. A lot of us love the Jets, but it's hard to chop it up with people, a lot of people, it's COVID. You can't really stand around. People aren't going to bars, so you're not getting your sports filled. So what better place than to come to Jets Guru, chat Jets with us. You guys have been doing it for years. You got a little family environment going here. The one thing I want you guys to do before we get started, please go on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube page, Jets Guru. We're also on Twitter at Guru Jets and Instagram at Jets Guru. But listen, we're starting off our off season here. Last week we got into running backs, and I think, the team was pretty concise on picking. If you're going to pick a free agent back to bring over to the Jets, a guy like Mike Davis would be a nice pickup for a fair contract. And then in the drafting side, I think everybody was kind of on board for Najee Harris for the 23 pick. If the Jets happen to if Harris has happened to be there, I think that the Jets could really utilize getting a stronger running back class. Although I do like Ty Johnson, although I do like Josh Adams, and I do like LaMichael Perine in certain situations. I think when you look at the Jets, whether you have Sam Darnold or whether you have Zach Wilson or Justin Fields or whoever it is that you think is going to be the quarterback of the New York Jets next year, you're going to have a little bit better play from the running back position to keep that offense honest. And I'm talking about somewhat more of a lead back, someone that could carry most of the role on a team, doesn't have to carry the whole role, but someone you could look to, someone you can hand the ball off to and feel secure to protect your young quarterback. Because Sam Darnold, even if he is with the Jets, he's going to need a lot of protecting, even though he's not a rookie. And this is a rebuild. And so I think Najee Harris, his running style, I know Joe Douglas is trying to get physical with the offensive line up front. I believe that's the way to go about it. And, we already have Crowder in the slot. We have Mims. So we're going to pick up another receiver to bring along and help this quarterback out. But this week, because the Jets coaching search is kind of narrowed in fairly quickly, at least right now, it could definitely expand a little bit more. Everyone was freaking out because the Jets let Saleh out of the building. But listen, this is an extensive search for the New York Jets. This is going to be something where they're going to look at everything. The Jets have not gotten this right at all. And we're going to bring in Ramon and we're going to bring in Krista, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more, get them in the program, and then we'll start just kind of chatting it up about the coach, because that's the position that we're doing this week, is the coaching spot. But, they don't want to rush into this. They want to make sure they take their time. They had a defensive coordinator basically beforehand. They had an offensive guru and Adam Gase, and they just want to take their time. And I think one of the things that they're looking at is leadership too. So they want to interview as many people as they can. They did bring Saleh in. And here's the thing. People say, well, how can you not let Saleh, how can you not sign him? How do you let him out of the building? Well, maybe he wanted to be let out of the building. This guy coming from San Francisco, he was playing in a Super Bowl the year before. Do you think he just wants to, in his first time, he's really going to get a head coaching position and you know it, just go to the Jets and be like, yeah, I just love the fact that we have Sam Darnold and you guys played yourself out of Trevor Lawrence and we're a rebuilding ball club. Let me just sign here without looking at the rest of the options. So maybe Saleh said, all right, well, I'm going to be professional and do my due diligence and go visit the teams that I had already scheduled and set up to go see. But I like my time here, whatever. And so I think there's a professionalism. This whole don't let him out of the building thing, it's kind of child's play, in my opinion. Listen, these are grown men. If he likes what the Jets are presenting with the second pick, with the roster, with the control, with the staff, with everything, if he likes where the Jets are set up, he's going to come to the Jets. Joe Douglas seems like he's a competent dude. He's a good GM. Seems like he'll work hard. He'll bring in the proper evaluators to come and look at this team. And it looks like the Jets are finally on track, right? It looks like they're finally on track to go see what it's like to just be a real franchise again, to let your GM pick the coach, to let the coach pick his staff and etc. It seems like the Jets are back on that train. So, if he wants to come here, he's going to come here. But I think it's smart for him, and I think it's smart for all these coaches to go and see what is out there, especially if it's your first time around. Like, go see, don't tie yourself and marry yourself to the first one that jumps. I mean, you look at a guy like Adam Gase. Adam Gase got fired from the Dolphins and he just ran to the Jets. It's like as soon as there was like a sniff of a rumor that Adam Gase was on the trail, he was hired. And so I don't want a desperate coach. I want a guy that knows he has options, and he's choosing the Jets because of A, B, C, and all this other kind of stuff that's going on. And when you look at a guy like Saleh, listen, the 49ers were hit. You talk about injuries. They lost, Bosa up front. They lost a whole bunch of dudes, linebackers on that line. He still had these guys competing on the defensive side of the ball. You're talking about a culture changer, a guy that really just gets after it, and so when we're speaking about him, I see where people take hesitancy. Where they're like, listen, I don't want another defensive coordinator. That's not what the Jets need here. What the Jets need is a guy with an offensive background, etc. But what you need is a leader. You hire an offensive coordinator. You hire quarterback specialists. You hire these people to do their jobs. But what you need a guy who coaches both sides of the football, who knows the players, who has the respect of locker rooms. And that's just something that Adam Gase didn't walk into the Jets building doing. It's not one of those things. From day one, there was questions about Adam Gase and his leadership, his ability to handle stars, his alienation of players. And these are some of the things that you saw throughout the season. And so it was no surprise. So if we're going by those types of parameters, everything has been saying how much of a leader this guy could possibly be. You have guys out there. All right, this is a comment by what's his name? I can't Richard Sherman, right? He says he's a great leader of men and he's not stubborn. He doesn't think he has all the answers. He comes up with a great plan and he evolves it with his players. And that's something that's really particular for the New York Jets is really important, because one of the things that happened when Adam Gase came to the Jets is that players that were considered risers out of their rookie classes kind of fell back a little bit, except for Quinnen Williams, who took a big jump up. You saw big players like Darnold. You saw big players like Herndon take a step back, and when you looked at the game plan, when you look at a guy like Joe Flacco that comes in, right, and he looks better than Sam Darnold, and you say, well, Flacco must be better than Sam Darnold, right? Well, not necessarily, right? Obviously, Flacco's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He had an amazing run, but that doesn't mean he has the same abilities that Sam Darnold has, right? He has the experience over Darnold, but Darnold has better tools to create more offense, right? The problem is Adam Gase came with his offense and said, I'm going to take Sam Darnold and put him in my offense. And what he should have did is he should have looked at Sam Darnold and he should have said, I am going to take the elements that I have and mold it around this kid. Find out what he does best. And the things that Sam Darnold does best is getting outside the pocket, or he did, rolling out of the side of the pocket and throwing. That was one of his strengths when he first came out into the league. And as you go on, teams kind of prepare and know what you're good and what you're not good at. These guys get paid millions of dollars to find that out. Adam Gase didn't take him to the next level in his thinking and his mentality and his progression as a quarterback when he got outside that pocket. He never utilized his athletic ability and take advantage of that to kind of make the backers and the safeties freeze. Is he going to take off? Things that you see with Josh Allen. Now, he's not as to me, as imposing as Josh Allen when he's running, but he's not a small dude, and he has athletic ability. We saw this, never utilized. He took Sam Darnold, who's a mobile rollout quarterback with a gunslinger mentality, and he put him just in a drop back offense with a shoddy offensive line that was patchwork and hurt for most of his tenure as a New York Jet. And by the time year 3 rolled along, it was just too many things that had stacked up that were regressive on his psyche and his gameplay out there on the field. Because it's not like Sam Darnold's played with less talent, in my opinion, both on the offensive line and with receivers and everything combined as a football team. But he took a step back. And I think that's reflective on the offensive scheme, because you have to build up the confidence in your quarterback to make those reads, to let that ball go before you see it. And that's one thing with Sam Darnold that started regressing as time went on, is that he would lock on a receiver and wait for him to get open without looking off safeties, without looking off backers. And it just became more visible the more you looked for it. And that is on the coach to break those habits, to get into his mechanics, offensive guru. So what the Jets need is a leader. They need someone who give the play calling to your offensive coordinator. That is why he is hired. What's the point of having an offensive coordinator if you're not going to delegate a responsibility? What, you're just there during the week to hold stuff? I don't get it. So I think that a guy like Saleh is super important because he's going to bring a strength and a respect level from the defensive side, which the Jets have always been, and they still are. To be honest, the best portions of this roster, I still like on defense. I still like Marcus May. I still like Quinnen Williams. I still like some of the defensive rotational pieces on that defensive line, right? And so I think that he could push that. He could transform these guys because he uses them. Because here's the thing. And let's get Krista and Ramon in here if we can, if we're not having any issues here. The thing that I like about Saleh, Ramon, is that everything that I'm hearing and everything that's being reported is that he kind of has a positionless defense. Like, he uses guys all over the place. And I love that because I remember Rex Ryan when he was here. He would do that with a lot of guys and mix and match guys and put guys in situations. And it's not like Greg Williams didn't do that. He did that as well, but it was more scheme-based with Greg Williams where he can run any coverage and he could put people in positions within those coverages. But this is more based on the physical talents of the players and what they can do and for each play, each drive. And so I like that because there's guys on our roster situationally that I think could be really good, especially on the defensive side of the ball, but may not be a 4-down type of player, but situationally in certain things is really, really important. He also, he's going to bring some talent with him as well. And one of the things that's also being reported, Ramon, is that if Saleh leaves, he's going to bring Mike Daniels with him or Mike LaFleur with him, which I think LaFleur is the running backs coach and McDaniels is the quarterback coordinator, one or the other, but one is possibly going to Raheem Morris if he gets hired. The other one is going with Saleh. And if you look at what the 49ers have done offensively and what they've done with Jimmy Garoppolo, it's not really out of the question and if they can help Sam Darnold. I think that play style of what you saw from Garoppolo would be a little bit better, I think, than what Adam Gase tried to do with Sam Darnold because he is not a drop back in the pocket quarterback, throw the ball down the field. That's just not what he does. So I ask you, Ramon, to start, what do you think to start with Saleh? What do you think about him coming in for a second interview as being reported? What do you think about him getting out of the building and the Jets not locking it up right away if they could have? And what do you think of the coach overall if he was to become the Jets head coach?
So I'm gonna work my way backwards. I think him overall, like I think he's what the Jets need as far as you guys can hear me, right?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So I think he's exactly what the Jets need. Like we have so many young players, and young players love to see the energy that he shows. Quentin Williams would love that. Sam Darnold needs that. He needs a guy like that. He doesn't need an Adam Gase to stand on the sideline and not talk to him. He needs someone to be in his ear and be like, "Hey, dude, these are the mistakes you're making, and you need to fix it, or you're gonna sit down." And Robert Saleh, he looks like the type to tell a person just how he is. You know, like you're not playing well. You need to play better. He definitely needs that. I think. What was the second question? I'm sorry.
Like, how do you feel about the Jets letting him go after that second visit without locking him up?
So him leaving, he's going through the process, right? Just like everyone else. He seems like a smart guy. Like you said, they're grown men. It's like us shopping for a house, right? You look at a house and you love the house, but do you buy that house? You know what I mean? As soon as you see it, you're like, I gotta have it right now. Because what happens when you do things like that, a house, a car, you buy that thing and then you see another car coming down the road, or you pass another house that's for sale, you're like, oh man, maybe I should have weighed out all of my options before I just took the bite. And I think that's something that they should have done, that he did, that is really well, just going through the process and weighing out all of his options. It's the smart move to do. Like you said, he just left. Maybe the best place he's thinking is he's like, maybe I want to go over to LA and check out the Chargers, because I could go from I just almost won last year to Chargers could have won a lot of games last year, and he can go right back into a winning situation, and he can be there, and he can go compete with the 49ers and be like, oh, he went from being successful to being successful. You know, we're not really going to count the year where he loses Bosa, he loses all these guys to injury, and he can go right back into that and keep his, his winning mentality and all that stuff, because the Jets need a culture changer like that. But that's not to say that if he brings in the wrong offensive coordinator, he isn't still bad. He can call his own defense if he wanted to, and he can have more reign over that, but he's going to need a really, really good offensive coordinator. I think he is a really good option for the Jets, and him leaving, it's okay. You know, it's fine. Everything will be okay. Joe Douglas, we asked for Joe Douglas to be able to run the show. That's what we got. I think that we need to be thankful that it's not Chris running it, or even Woody, because maybe he didn't leave the building, and maybe we get the chance to get Brian Daboll, or maybe, like you said, Arthur Smith. I'm not gonna go into those categories just yet, but maybe they might be better options for if the team wants to keep Sam Darnold. Maybe because we didn't use Sam Darnold correctly, so we really don't know. Like I said, I don't think his ceiling's high, but we don't know how great he could be. Maybe if you get Sam Darnold and you get him comfortable and let him throw a deep ball maybe 2-3 times a game, like Josh Allen kind of does, maybe you can get more effectiveness instead of trying to get him to throw deep balls from the pocket all the time, get him to roll out a little bit. So I would think that that the Jets have done every single thing correctly so far. We haven't seen, and who's to say that Robert and the other coaching options aren't going to leave their next destinations and then go see everyone first before they go down and make a decision. They can only hire one head coach, and none of these guys are taking coordinator spots. So we're going to get one of them. Everybody relax. Jacksonville's probably got Urban Meyer already wrapped up from the reports I've seen. We can still get Smith. We can still get Dabble. I don't know how to say his name. And then we can still get Saleh. So everybody relax out there. Joe Douglas, and we trust. In Joe Douglas, we trust. So there it is for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's when you talk about Saleh as well, you have an opportunity to steal some coaches from the 49ers that I think would really help with the type of team we have as well. I mean, when you look at Shanahan, what he tried to do is, and he tried to block all these guys from getting jobs because they're able to do that. But with the new rule change that was established, you can't block a guy who's getting a promotion in a job. So like if it was for him to go be a head coach or do this or do that, but now they changed it to where if I'm going from a quarterback's positional coach or running back's positional coach, I can now be an offensive coordinator somewhere. So you might be able to steal some of the nuts and bolts that you saw from a Kyle Shanahan offense Because listen, there's a reason why that these guys try to keep their staff together, because they know that, the knowledge of the person next to them that they have, the understanding of that, that offense is key. And so when you lose pieces like that, it's hard to get new guys to come in and understand it in the same way. And so if the Jets were able to poach Saleh from the 49ers, but then also take a guy like LaFleur or take a guy like, McDaniels or something and steal one of those guys, you might have found a diamond in the rough as your offensive coordinator. And, if Saleh doesn't work out, you might be able to transition over to someone who's already been in the building as a safety net. Another important piece to this would be the defensive coordinator position. And one of the pieces that Saleh could steal from the 49ers is QB coach Odin. He's worked with Xavier Howard. He's worked with Darius Slay. And in both of those years that he's worked with them, those guys have had outstanding years. What do you look at when you see the Jets as far as the cornerback department? They're young, they're raw. A lot of these guys, they don't have lights out starting talent, but they're hard workers. They put some grind out there. So maybe there's something that this coach Odin can bring out. And it's going to be important for these cornerbacks this year. Remember, it's important every year in the NFL. It's a passing league, but the Jets only could fill so many holes, even with the ammo and draft picks and the ammo and cash. You still needed probably a new center if you can, and rotate McGovern to guard. You probably need another guard. You need a new quarterback. You need a new new legit starting running back. You need a legit receiver on the outside. You need an outside pass rusher. You need another inside linebacker. You need two corners. You still got to bring Marcus May back. You still need a backup alongside to spell Marcus May. There's a lot of holes on this team, and you're not going to be able to fill them all. And most likely the Jets, if I were them, and we'll get to the cornerback position later on in a couple weeks, but I would like the Jets to get a legit corner. Like, I'm not even talking about a superstar. Like, who is the mid-range guy in free agency that's around 27, 28 that could be had for 2 to 3 years, and you make him your number one corner for next year, and then you coach up one of these guys like Bryce Hall to play on the other side, and then you fill in around him. You know what I mean? And so that's what you bring when you bring in a new coach, a guy like that. You bring in a whole bunch of new possibilities as far as coaching is concerned. And Krista, I mean, what is your feeling? Do you have a favorite? Is it Saleh? Is it Dable, who did wonders with Josh Allen? What is your favorite so far in the early going here of Jet candidates?
I think for me, I actually really, really do like Dable. He worked, I know I'm going to sound biased because he's from the Alabama coaching tree, and he was part of the whole Georgia versus Alabama, and he's what helped put Alabama over the top against Georgia a couple years ago to help them win the national championship. I know there's some skepticism with him because a lot of people think a lot that has to do with the Buffalo Bills offense is Stephon Diggs, but you see Josh Allen. You see how Josh Allen has progressed. He looks more confident. He plays with swag. He doesn't look into one target. You just see a completely different Josh Allen than you had years prior. I just imagine seeing him with Sam Darnold. I think getting a guy like him and Sam Darnold, I think it would do wonders for a guy like Sam Darnold as well. I really like Saleh as well. I'm not going to lie, I didn't know much about him until the Jets started to interview him. That's when I started to do my homework on this guy. So you feel free to bash me in the comments. I actually did not know much about I didn't know much about Saleh, but I like him. I personally like that loud personality. I like that Greg Williams type guy that's not afraid to get in your face and talks a lot. I personally like those guys. That's probably why I liked Rex Ryan the first couple of years, because he was loud, he was obnoxious, he talked a lot. I kind of like those guys. I know it's not the type of guys people really gravitate towards, and I completely understand. But I think we need that guy that's loud, that focuses on all three aspects of the game, and I think that's what Saleh brings. I like the 49ers defense, even though, like you mentioned, Dan, they lost a lot of key players, but they still played hard. And even when you listen to players like Richard Sherman, like you mentioned before, they have a lot of respect for him. And they even expect him. They said, hey, this guy deserves a coaching job. And you hear a lot of players talking a lot about him. That's not something I heard a lot about from Adam Gase when he lost the coaching job in Miami. Like you mentioned, there was a lot of negative stigma towards him, and sadly, the Jets were hired him. But with Saleh, I think you're getting a whole different guy. You're getting that culture changer that they're looking for, and that's someone that I really like. So I think for now, right now, those are probably my two top candidates. I like him, and I like Dabble the best because, yeah, I know I sound a little bit biased because from the Alabama coaching tree, but I think him is going to do wonders for a guy like Sam Darnold or possibly a guy like Wilson, Fields, or whoever the Jets have at quarterback. But yeah, those are my two top guys as of right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're looking at Dabble and you look at the work that they've done with Josh Allen, I mean, you just got to give them so much credit. Everybody in that staff, because coming out, he was super raw. He was probably the rawest quarterback out of those top 3 or 4 that were there, 5, whatever it was. And, you know, he had a strong arm, he could launch the ball a million yards, but he had issues with his accuracy, in college, 50 something percentage completion percentage. And not in a great conference. And so, people were worried, how is this guy going to perform? And out of the gate, you saw some of the struggles of him, learning NFL defenses and learning how to use his athletic ability in combination with his arm. But I think as time went on, you just saw him keep digging and digging. And you know what? They leaned on his athletic ability. They didn't shy away from it. And I say this all the time. You have to put schemes around your players, not players around schemes. It is about a talent. It's a talent league. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a scheme league too, but you can have all the schemes all day. If you don't have the talent, you can coach people up, and that's what you've seen through many different years, through many different teams, where a team is expected to win 1 or 2 games and they win 5, 6, or 7 games and they outplay their talent. But most of the time you need talent there. You need it to happen. It needs to be a cohesion, and it has to be done the right way. And they figured it out. The Ravens, they kind of went through it themselves. They had a quarterback who had a good arm, but, they didn't know how his running style would translate to the NFL in turning him into a quarterback. Well, you look at Lamar Jackson's stats, he runs all over the field, but he throws touchdowns. It's not like he doesn't have touchdowns. I mean, his MVP year, he had over 20 something touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, this is a team, this is an organization that utilize, and throughout their whole tenure there, they've always kind of used the talent that they had to the maximum ability. And you do that by scheming around. And they're even going back to it. They're doubling down on Lamar Jackson this year. And they're saying, you know what? Let's not get cute anymore and make this kid something he's not. And you see it. You see Lamar more comfortable running with the football. They're not asking him to do too much. But when they do ask him, they're asking him to step up. And he is. And so I think it's very, very important. I think you look at a guy like Andy Reid and you look at what they've done with Eric Bieniemy and what they've done with Mahomes. And, you could say, oh, well, Mahomes has a ton of talent. That doesn't mean that talent would have been utilized elsewhere correctly. It doesn't mean the scheme, the play calling, the opportunity, the ability to have him sit for most of the year and watch Alex Smith. Many places would have started him right away. A lot of guys have strong arms. A lot of guys can run fast. A lot of guys can move outside the pocket. But a lot has to come together, and it starts with the good coaching staff and the scheme combined with the player and the talent that's there. And so when you look at Dable, you go, they took this kid. I watch him play now, and he does not even look like the same quarterback at all from his first year. And you look at Sam Darnold, and he looks like the same exact quarterback making the same exact mistakes. And if you guys are Sam Darnold fans, okay, there's one other coaching candidate that I think is really, really important in this search. And I think it's important that the Jets, do take a strong look at him, because you look at Arthur Smith from the Tennessee Titans OC, and what they've been able to do with Ryan Tannehill is really important. Now, mind you, again, Ryan Tannehill is better than Sam Darnold in every aspect that you can imagine. So, before he got to Tennessee, you look at Ryan Tannehill's stats with Adam Gase, and they were better than Sam Darnold. It's not even close. He's a better quarterback than Sam Darnold, at least today, okay? I don't care about talent or anything. You look at the stats, you look at the play. He's had better seasons. He's been to the playoffs. He has better numbers. He's a better quarterback, right? So for people saying, well, he could be the next Ryan Tannehill, first he's got to have show the ability that he can stop making turnovers. That's number one, because you can't be anything if you're turning the football over, okay? Because you're costing your team points, you're costing your team opportunities to score, and you can't have that in the NFL. But what's important about Arthur Smith is he realized and we like with all the coaches that we've talked about, what is the one thing that you've seen that just I keep saying the same thing. They utilize the talent. They put this talent around the scheme. Now, I'm sure Arthur Smith can open the offense up a little bit. I'm sure he really could, but he takes what the defense gives him because he knows he has a quarterback that might make a mistake and doesn't have the physical gifts to necessarily push the ball down the field like a Mahomes does and some of these other people. And so what do? They have a balanced offense. They work the tight ends, right? So they have a team that's strong with tight ends. They run the football with a beast, right? They create, and then it sets them up for play action. And that's how they take advantage for the deep throws. When you see Ryan Tannehill have big, gaudy stat games when he has a couple of those, that's usually because the running game's working well, the play action is working well. And you don't necessarily, the offense is really not predominantly built on the outside pieces. It's built with the power run up first, create balance, wear teams down, work the tight ends, work the middle of the field. And when you pull up Ryan Tannehill's stats, okay, if you go to NFL Next Gen Stats, and I'm not sure if JR is going to be able to pull it up or not, we'll find out. But you look at Ryan Tannehill's stats and his passing chart, okay, and you look at where he's green. Now, you look at 20 yards and under from the left to the right and down, right down the middle. When you look at Ryan Tannehill, what you're seeing, right, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to throw it up. If not, I'll tell you guys. The league average on the left side of the football field, okay, under 20 yards is 85. That's the rating. Ryan Tannehill is at 137. So he far exceeds the league average. You look in the middle of the field, under 20 yards. The league average is 90. He's 116. Okay? You look at 10 yards and under. The league average is an 89. He's 120. On the left side, he's 120. On the right side, he's 112. Way above average. Way above average. It's not even close. And I think what Arthur Smith could bring, because if you look at Sam Darnold's chart, right, and you jump over to that on NFL Next Gen Stats, what you'll find is where Darnold struggles is on the left and the right side, right? On the left and the right side is where he struggles, right under the 20-yard, above 10 yards, under 20 yards, right? And I think that has a lot to do with his mechanics and his progressions because he's locking on to guys and he's not scanning the field. They're making it difficult for Sam Darnold, who I just think doesn't have the skill set right now. If you look at Sam Darnold and you look at how when he plays best getting the ball out quickly, right? And I think that when you get a guy like Arthur Smith, I think if the Jets were to bring him in, the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to build up that offensive line really strong, and they're going to draft a running back in the first round. I can almost guarantee that. And they're going to try to set it up just like they had it in Tennessee. Like, now I'm not saying that Najee Harris is going to be, Derrick Henry, but can he be a guy that could push the chains and take pressure off of Sam Darnold? And then you could bring in a guy like Ty Montgomery, a guy like Michael P. Ryan on third down if you need a guy to kind of, just escape on the outside. But when you look at these numbers and a guy who utilizes the tight ends in Arthur Smith, and here's the chart right here at Ryan Tannehill, so you guys could get a better look at this. Look at where he is, and he's able to excel. Now, down the field on the right side, that 120, which far exceeds, right, which is 30, 40, 50 yards plus, that is all based off of play action with Derrick Henry. And you look at Sam Darnold's numbers when you switch over, he's not bad either. When you look at 30 plus on the right side, he's around 99, which is above league average. You look at over the middle, 30 plus, he's 79.2, a little bit below average. And then on 30 plus on the left side, he's about a quarter of the way through on below average. These stats can get better if you run the ball because you'll set up play action, which will leave more one-on-one opportunities for your receiver and not a trailing safety, which Sam has struggles with right now, and you'll be able to dump it over the top. So you should see Sam's numbers in an Arthur Smith offense go up deep down the middle, deep on the left side, right? That's the way I figure it. And you see the 49, the way below average, that is all Sam Darnold's fault in mechanics. That is awful. When you see 49 and the league average is 85, throws below 20 but over 10, and 34 on the other side, but you're 83 over the middle, that's telling me one or two things. You're getting either too much pressure up the middle, you're not able to step into the pocket to put a little muster on the passes that are on the outside, right? Because when you do like a slant over the middle, right? like you're seeing that guy, you're able to release the ball a little bit better on the outside where you need a little bit more time to get to dump it over the shoulder. It's a different type of throw. The outside ones, you need the arm strength to push it towards towards out of bounds. And then also you have to dump over the top. So there's different types of throws. Over the middle, it's a lot easier for him to hit those guys. Again, a better running game creates more one-on-one situations, one-on-one matchups, more time for Sam Darnold to set his feet and throw the ball. Those numbers are going to go up. So if you're a Sam Darnold guy, I think Arthur Smith is really the choice that you want because one, he's an offensive guy, unlike Sam Darnold. I mean, unlike Adam Gase, he took a guy in Ryan Tannehill to the next level where Adam Gase couldn't take Tannehill to the next level. Okay. Now Ryan had productive numbers, but he really fine-tuned Ryan Tannehill because he knew the type of talent that he had on the roster. And so he didn't ask Ryan to do too much. Now you see that here's the difference. Here's the big thing. Now you see with Ryan Tannehill, when he has to make that big time down the field throw, come on, man, Derrick Henry's getting locked down. We need you to throw us back in the game. He can't do that. And so that is something to keep in mind if you hang into Sam Darnold is I have no doubt that you could bring in an offensive mind here and you can make Sam Darnold a better quarterback. I really do believe that. I really do believe Sam Darnold could throw 25 touchdowns a season with 15 interceptions, 17 interceptions, which you go, that's not too bad, right? But it's when you're throwing them, it's how you're throwing them and when you're getting them. And just let's be honest here. Are we going to be able to replicate that Derrick Henry, once in a lifetime 2000 season? What he's been able to do, Derrick Henry, to be honest with you, you don't really see too often in the history of the NFL. So it's really tough for me to think that you could replicate all of that in Tennessee and bring it to the New York Jets. But if you're going to pick a guy that I think that could revive Sam Darnold and bring him back up, I think Arthur Smith is more than qualified because he's seen it and he's done it. And I believe Sam Darnold has better skills as a player. I think you could do more. Like to me, if I'm Sam Darnold, I got to get used to the idea of the run pass option. You're telling me he's not as athletic as Mitchell Trubisky? I think he absolutely is right there at that same level. And when you look at Trubisky and when he was doing some good things, they were mixing those things in earlier on. And they kind of pulled away from him because they thought he could take that next step and he couldn't. And now he's just completely out of the door. Like he's not returning with the Chicago Bears. And Sam Darnold is right there too. Now, I don't know if you could convince Arthur Smith to take Sam Darnold. I mean, listen, why would you leave you're the offensive coordinator of the Titans. Why would you leave to put yourself in yet another similar situation? Or you could say, hey, I want to draft Zach Wilson. I want to draft Justin Fields and put him in my offense because I've never been able to really open up my offense, and these guys just have better passing skill sets than Ryan Tannehill or Sam Darnold. Maybe I go that route. But I think if you want to hold on to him, that's another good choice for the New York Jets. Me personally, and I know Unique asked me who is my number one guy. My number one guy is Saleh right now for many reasons. One, because I still think that we need a defensive presence. I think he could bring that. He has an adaptable defense. When you look at his defense over the last 3 years, he's changed up his defense a little bit. He went from the cover 3. He does 9 wide now because he wanted to get more pressure on the quarterback when your end set up more on the outside of the tackle to put pressure. If you do that, if you run a 9 wide with the New York Jets with the rotation of young guys they have on that line, I think they can have some success. And one of the guys who can have a lot of success in Saleh's defense would be Quinnen Williams, because Quinnen Williams is the only one that's really catching that heavy heat right now. If you could spread 9 wide and get a real pass rusher on the end to put pressure on them, it's going to leave a lot more spacing for Quinnen Williams to work and more one-on-one battles for him to be able to win, to kind of create havoc. And so I like him for that reason, and I like him because everything that's been said about this guy is that he utilizes the talent first. It's not like he's walking in there as a guru. I don't want any more offensive guru, quarterback gurus, this type of a guy. I like Eric Bieniemy. I like what he could bring to the table, some of the knowledge and everything that he could bring. I just think when you look at a guy like Saleh and the potential coaches, 3, the potential coaches that Saleh could steal, LaFleur, McDaniels, Odin, the cornerbacks coach, many other positional coaches that were just removed from a Super Bowl. You're bringing guys that are ready-made, guys that have been there, done that before. He's my number one choice. And then my second choice after that would be probably, if I had a choice, it would be Daboll. Because what I saw him do with Josh Allen, I mean, if you get a guy like Zach Wilson, I might get excited about that. You know, even if you got a guy like Justin Fields, you could get excited about that. If he could fix the discrepancies that Josh Allen had, I think you could fix and clean up some of the things that Justin Field might even have. Even though I don't want Justin Field as a quarterback necessarily, I would want Zach Wilson, or I would want to trade down, maybe get a different quarterback, pick up some extra picks, or maybe even possibly take Sewell. But again, you know, I really don't want to move Becton, who we just said was our left tackle for the next 12 years, and move him to the right side. Because what's more important for the Jets, replacing right tackle or getting a quarterback? It's getting a quarterback, because Fant is not as bad as I think Sam Darnold was this year. And so I think you need to get a better quarterback in there, and you could fix the interior of the line, which is more of the headache, and you have McGovern's contract. You can't get rid of it. And so those are my choices. So it would be Saleh, it would be probably Daboll, probably Eric Bieniemy, and then probably Arthur Smith, because if I hear Arthur Smith, I'm thinking that Sam Darnold's sticking around, in my personal opinion, because he could kind of just install what he did with Ryan Tannehill, a guy that has limitations, work it around the run, strong defense, and try to see what happens from there. But my choice would definitely be Saleh. Now for you guys, right? Give me your 1, 2, and 3 choices in a row. Like, boom, 1, 2, and 3. And then also, we're going to do grades as well. So let's do this first. Let's get your number 1, your number 2, and your number 3 choice, Ramon and Krista. And then we'll get into the grades for the 2020 season.
Saleh, Daboll, and Smith. Eric Bieniemy, his interviews haven't gone so well from what I've heard, so leave him out.
All right.
I'm going to go with Saleh. I'm going to go with Daboll, and I'm actually going to go with Eric Bieniemy.
Okay, and now for your 2020 coaches, right? Let's kind of go through it. I kind of know, pretty much Adam Gase is going to catch an F for most people. I mean, he was by far the worst coach that I can comparably say. I mean, I was alive for Kotite, but I was really young, so I didn't know the ins and outs of football, even though I was watching. And being a competent football fan, he is the worst coach I've ever seen for the Jets. He was brought here to do one thing. He couldn't even do that right. He alienated players. He got rid of a GM, and then after they spent all that money, when realistically he should have probably let Mac ride that season out, and then he would have had probably even more control. He probably wouldn't even be getting fired right now, because a lot of that blame now, when you look back at it, it's like maybe Mac was trying to get players here for a certain system that Gase just was never going to run, for talent he was never going to work around. Because remember, Mac was never wanting to hire him. That was part of the deal of just kind of being GM for the Jets at that time. And so when you look at it, he never really got a fair shake. So you had one guy picking players, signing players for an offense that was never going to be run that way, and he was never going to open up and do things for guys, like Le'Veon Bell that needed to be done. And that was clear, because they were running the same exact plays with Le'Veon Bell as they did with Frank Gore, and they're two different types of running backs. So that tells you everything you need to know. And his leadership, awful. His post-game reports, awful. His explanations, awful. His time management was awful. I mean, I guess Becton, he was good, but I don't think that really has much to do with Gase. Herndon took a step back when he looked promising. I just think F's across the board for Adam Gase. For Greg Williams, I think last year, I think he did really well. And then this year, here's the thing, man. You can't make, clam chowder out of, onion soup. It's just like, I don't know. It's just, what are you going to do? The Jets roster was in shambles through injury, and the offense doesn't really do you any credit. I mean, listen, Greg Williams' defenses, especially with this talent, was built off of schemes and looks and confusion. because he would do a lot of different looks. He would mix in a lot of different rotations to confuse quarterbacks. Well, when your defense is constantly on the field, it's hard to really do that. And you know what? The trick kind of came out of the bag a little bit. It was like, all right, well, we kind of know what's going on here. The Jets are weak on the edges. They run the ball. They stop the run. They're weak on the outside. So just attack the corners on one-on-one matchups, and in zones, take the underneath until you have an option, and then you throw it over top. That's how the Jets were getting beat. You know, and last year it was a little bit better. Yeah, they played a lot better. But, you know, it's not like he was working with an all-pro defense. So for his entire tenure with the Jets, I'd have to give Greg Williams a C, you know, just because I didn't like the way he handled a lot of different conversations, although I would be frustrated with Adam Gase too. And I wouldn't want to take the blame for a horrible head coach and put my name on it. But they could have did better. You know, he still had his name attached to it. And you know what? The defense looked a little bit better after he left too, because I think, you know, over time, Greg Williams' personality, and this is just what's been said out there when you read articles and stuff, that his type of personality tends to wear on players, what he demands, what he wants. And Frank Bush made it a lot easier to just go out there and play with your talent. And I think that's what Saleh is going to bring. You know, it's not going to be about all these disguises and showing this and showing that. He's going to let the guys do what they do best in a scheme that puts pressure on the offense. And I know right away if Saleh was to come, he would demand a pass rusher. And I'm pretty sure because you saw the success that he had when he had that dominant pass rusher and what he was able to do, and you already got Quinnen Williams up the middle. You know, you can roll with a free agent cornerback, you know, yeah, Bryce Hall and company, if you have pressure up the middle and on the edge, because you're going to help your young cornerbacks out. They won't have to cover as long. Their responsibilities won't be too much. And so I'll go Greg Williams C overall for his tenure. I mean, if we're going to do grades for this year, I would say F across the board for nearly everybody on the roster. I mean, maybe wide receivers coach, you might be able to say, you know, Hines, you might be able to say, all right, well, yeah, because Mims looked good. Perryman looked good when he was used correctly. You know, Crowder has always been good. But, I mean, you could pretty much go F across the board, special teams, everything to me. You know, Valentine looked well returning the football. Yeah. But, I mean, how much credit can you do there? So I think F's across the board. For Greg Williams' tenure, I would say C, maybe C-, and then Adam Gase an F. With Joe Douglas, with GM, I would say I would give him a C, right? I would, you know, I like his trades. I like the rookies. But, you know, at the end of the day, the Jets were supposed to be way better than this. And he even said it on his own. And listen, you know, at the end of the day, this is the roster you started to put together. It's not fully his roster, but a lot of players do have his name that he brought in. You know, Perryman really didn't get off the way I thought he was going to get off. You know, as a GM, maybe you got to talk to your coach about that scheme-wise. Drafts, I like the drafts. I like the trades. But until I see a little bit more out of this team, I can't give you a B. You know, like this team has progressively gotten worse. And so even though I think Joe has done a good job with his trades and his drafts so far, I think the actual product on the field has been lackluster, and he can't take the full blame. But I think going into this year, where you're most likely picking a new quarterback, you're picking a new head coach, you have a turnover of roster, you're spending about $80 million, there's going to be no more excuses for anybody that's left here. You know, you're going to be tied to all these people. So Joe Douglas, to me, officially starts on the clock right now because he's finally being given the power as GM to do what he needs to do. And I think that's going to fall into the structure of how they pick players and how they draft as well. I think everything will be symbiotic and just kind of run through. And so I think I'll give Joe C+. And it's been a tough year, obviously. Ramon, what are your grades? Krista, what are your grades?
My grade is going to be definitely an F. I'll give Adam Gase an F+, right? And I'll tell you why in a minute. And then D+ for Greg Williams. And it really hit hard when Frank Bush came in and actually played defense rather than sending multiple guys at the quarterback every time and actually giving the defense a chance. The cornerbacks look great when they got a chance to actually play defense without worrying about, you know, sending a corner to come blitz and leaving a guy open, or just Frank Bush, I think, did a much better job than any of us expected. I think everyone should be gone because I think we should start new. We should keep anybody. But I do think Greg Williams is. I think we thought he was a little better than he was because the defense looked like it was pretty good. I guess we were comparing it to the offense, so I'll say that
Mhm.
Adam Gase, I give him an F plus. Adam Gase had some amazing plays saved. Right, we seen him use a couple of
Mhm.
them. We seen the Crowder to Barrios. Right,
Yep.
there was another play. I think Le'Veon Bell did a flea flicker one time, but he has these amazing plays stored, right? But he didn't do a great job of using it. So I got to give him an F. And the only reason I'm giving him the plus is because we did see that he had it. We seen what he put together. Am I cut out here? Oh no, okay, I'm not.
No, you're good.
Sorry, but we did see what he did. If we're just doing this year, then it's an F. But we did see what he did the second half of the year last year when he started using those plays. But for whatever reason, he was waiting until like the offense could get going before calling those plays. But I think sometimes the offense needed those plays to get going. You know what I mean? I think it would have helped and been a big momentum thing, a big momentum swing. But yeah, the whole coaching staff I think should go. I don't think.
Mhm.
Um, Logan's. I don't think anybody did a great job of helping really anybody. We still have it's the end of the year, right? We went we won 2 games all year and we still have questions about the players. We still have questions about the players, offense and defense. There's something we think Sam Darnold's ceiling is low. We all believe it. I think personally, just to go back real quick, I think Sam Darnold should be used as a dual threat quarterback the same way they use Josh Allen. I would like to see Sam Darnold on a read option. I like to see Sam Darnold actually using his legs on a quarterback draw. He likes to truck guys. Not a smart idea because he already hurt his collarbone or whatever, or shoulder, whatever he hurt. I think Sam Darnold should have been used a lot differently. Maybe Adam Gase did get forced those players. They were both set up for complete failure. Every single person on the team was set up for failure. When it comes to the GM, I'm gonna give him a B plus, man. I think he did the most that he could do. And I think things are going unnoticed, like him letting Adam Gase stay. Everybody said fire Gase, fire Gase, fire Gase. But why would you fire Gase when you're going to have other? We just fired a guy. How long
Mhm.
was Bolford? 2, maybe 3 years. I think it was 3 years. I think it
That's-
was 10-6. Then a bad year. Then like
Yeah.
4-12. Like I personally do think that he did a good job of leaving him. He left Adam Gase there to show, hey, when you're the head coach here, you're gonna get to coach out the full season. I don't care what you do. You're gonna have full control. He let him, or not him, but the ownership let him. I'm sure he was in on the conversation. Let him fire Greg Williams. I still hate it, but I thought it was a good decision because it's like, hey, when you're the head coach, no, everybody notoriously in the NFL talked about how bad Adam Gase was and how he was the worst coach of all time, should
Yep.
never be in charge of a high school coach. So if you know that coming in, you already know that you're probably going to be better than Adam Gase, right? All you have to do is win 3 games, right? And you're going to be better than Adam Gase. All you have to do is not give the ball to Frank Gore every single time. You'll be better than Adam Gase. All the things that he did horribly wrong. And you know that coming in, oh man, I'm gonna have full control over my staff, right? I'm gonna have an opportunity to finish the season, right? I'm not going to get thrown under the bus by the GM. I'm not going to get thrown under. I thought you were taking a shot over there. I'm not getting thrown under the bus by the coaches or anything like that. You know that you're going to have full control. You know that that the organization is going to respect you, and they're going to let you do your whole tenure, kick you out of the door, and they'll talk about you behind closed doors, not in front of people. So I think it's a good look, and I think that's another reason why people are wanting the Jets job, and also I think obviously he did everything he could for our roster since he's been here. He already got the GM. He already got shafted. Joe Douglas. He already got shafted by. He comes in right after immediately following the draft. Immediately following the draft, so we wasted his first year pretty much. What kind of
Yeah.
GM comes into a situation and you're walking into a brand new coach that you had no discussion with, and then you come in and you don't even get to do the draft, and there's still fans out there that think he's drafted 2 years, so that's another issue. But
Yeah.
those are my grades for those dudes. Krista, it's on you, I guess.
Oh man, yeah, this is gonna be fire. So we're the second worst team technically in the NFL. We're picking second, so I'm giving everyone F's. I mean, Adam Gaze especially gets an F. And thank you Facebook for reminding me 2 years today is the day where I actually met Adam Gaze, and he actually said, "You will not be able to predict my offense." I specifically told him when I was at the press conference, me and my uncle, we were telling him about the struggles that we Jet fans went through a Jeremy Bates type offense where we were able to predict his offense. And I really told Adam Gase, we told Adam Gase word by word, please do not be predictable like you were with Jeremy Bates. He said, don't worry, you won't be able to predict my offense. Well, Adam Gase, I wish I could go back in time and I wish I can go and tell you your offense was the most predictable offense I have ever sat through in my life.
And we've seen some predictable ones too.
So Jet Nation, I tried. Adam Gase lied to me. You get F everything, even the positive things you mentioned. Like you mentioned before, Ramon, about the Jamison Crowder, him throwing that pass to Barrios. It erases everything because he does dumb things like giving Gore the ball like 9 out of 10 times, running straight to the middle. I cannot tell you what P. Ryan is because for some strange odd reason you want to handicap the guy and you don't want to use him. You don't want to use Ty Montgomery. I can't tell you what Ty Montgomery does. Could he be a feature back? I don't know what Ty Montgomery can do, but I know he did good against the Raiders. But we have Adam Gase saying, well, those 100 yards were just against the Raiders. So what? It was 100 yards. The man did well. Can't you give the guy any props, any respect? It's things like that gets me mad about Adam Gase. I don't know anything about Josh Adams, and we put him on our squad because we were scared that another team was going to take the dude. I can't tell you if he's a feature back, but what I can tell you is these guys work hard, and we've praised these guys, and they don't get enough snaps. So I gave Adam Gase an F for that. Chris Herndon has regressed under Adam Gase because simply he doesn't throw the ball enough. And like we mentioned time and time again, like I've had my frustrations with Chris Herndon. Can you blame the guy? You don't throw the ball enough. How are you able to make plays? And he doesn't know how to talk to the media. He doesn't know how to use his players. He uses Gore 90% of the time. I have more questions than answers about this offense. This is why Adam Gase gets an F. So I can't give this guy any props because it's like you take a test. Like if you get a couple questions wrong out of all the questions, you still get an F because even though you answer those few questions wrong, it still leads to an F. That's how I feel about Adam Gase. So Adam Gase, you get an F. Now, as far as Greg Williams, I'm giving him an F too, simply because this year I feel bad for the man, but I've had again more questions than answers. What happened to Nathan Shepard? Where's Henry Anderson? I know Henry Anderson had that one good year. I was looking for him to do well this year. Well, he became visible. Where's Nathan Shepard? I kept asking myself, like, Nathan Shepard came well once Frank Bush came in. What happened to our great run defense? I know you can't fix everything. I expect our run defense to be on top of things. And I know our offense, I agree with them 100% going to Adam Gase saying, hey, your offense goes 3 and out. My defense gets tired. But the one thing I will give Greg Williams respect credit for is that this D-line has a lot of respect for him. And I know a lot of guys hated to see him go, and I know they had a lot of respect for him. But you have guys like Marcus May calling out, dude, what kind of plays are you calling? Like, when you have a guy like Marcus May calling you out, that says a lot to me. That's why same thing with Adam Gase. When I have a guy like Marcus May, like, barking at Greg Williams, that kind of reason why I'm giving him an F. And I'm like, wow, that changes the tune of everything I feel about Greg Williams, because the whole part of the thing is, like, once we actually fired Greg Williams, I was like, a breath of relief. Maybe Marcus May will actually want to stay now, because my whole belief is that if we're going to keep Greg Williams, that Marcus May might want to bounce because of whatever reason why that he gave Greg Williams. And I think he truly lost the locker room when he had Lamar Jackson, our slowest cornerback, against Henry Ruggs. I think that's what really got the locker room mad, because that game would have been won. And you could tell that really frustrated players. You could say that they wanted to win that game more than ever. But Greg Williams, being Greg Williams, wants to go in all blitz against the Raiders, put all your players out, leaving Lamar Jackson there to dry against one of the fastest wide receivers in the league. So that's why I have to give Greg Williams an F for that, because to me that really changed the coaching career, especially doing a play like that. I mean, I know I might be being harsh about that, but it's just the truth, because that's something that's going to Greg Williams' coaching career. People are going to look back at that and they're going to be questioning him, like, okay, you're going in all blitz, but can you tell me why you have your slowest cornerback against one of the fastest guys in the league with the Henry Ruggs? And even Henry Ruggs was kind of like,
he was trying to get his Trevor Lawrence.
Why that happened? I don't know why that happened, but hey, he helped us get the win. But yeah, he helped us get Trevor Lawrence, but we didn't
He
get
was
Trevor Lawrence, so I can't. That's why I have to still have to give him that. It would have been moved to a D if it did lead us to Trevor Lawrence, but nope, you're still getting that. So I can't even give him credit for potentially helping us to get Trevor Lawrence. So yeah, they all get Fs all across the board. I don't want to see any of his coaching staff back ever again. They can go wherever. You can go home. You can go to your couch. You can go to the Browns. You can go to the Patriots. I don't care. I don't want to see them in a Jet uniform unless the new coach actually likes them. I like our new coach to pick out their guys, and yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm giving it Fs all across the board because when you're the second worst team in the NFL, I don't know how I could praise you, unfortunately. So as much as I love Greg Williams, the dude gets an F because more questions than answers, and that's pretty much where I am at.
Yeah, I mean, you had with the Raiders play, you just had a completely ego play. You have a guy who's a blitz defensive coordinator thinking I'm going to seal the game here with a sack. And listen, I mean, that's how he is. I mean, no one complained before, like when he was playing well and doing this, coaching well and doing the same thing. To me, this squarely falls mostly on the offense. This guy, Adam Gase, was brought here to coach this offense up, and the offense had way better chips than what the defense had to work with, especially with Mosley being gone, all the injuries at linebacker, all the injuries on the line, the lack of talent at cornerback. I mean, Pierre Desir and all these types of guys are like third, fourth stringers, cut guys in camp.
Yeah.
You look at the Jets' time of possession, and they're in the bottom of the league in time of possession. You know what that spells? That spells disaster for your young defense who gets exposed game in and game out. Again, I said it earlier. It's very, very hard to play defense when you don't have talent, and then you're trying to scheme and confuse quarterbacks, but you're seeing them every 3.5 minutes, maybe less, because your team can't get first down. You look at the bottom 10 or so teams in time of possession. You're talking about the Patriots, the Eagles, the Cardinals, the Giants, the Cowboys, the Titans, Detroit, the Jets, Jacksonville, and Houston. Most of those teams are bad, not playoff teams. You look at the top of the league in time of possession. You're talking about Green Bay, the Rams, New Orleans, the Chargers, Baltimore, Buffalo, Miami, San Francisco, Indianapolis. So you're talking about time of possession matters. Offense matters for more than just putting points on the board, but it's keeping points off of the board, because when you have a good sustained drive, you keep the other offense off the field and you keep your defense on the bench. That includes the schemes and the covers and the shifts and all the different things that you're exposing throughout a game don't get exposed. And so, if I'm going to put a blame on this season, I'm not going to throw it on Greg Williams. I'm going to throw it on Adam Gase and his offense, because he was brought here to turn around the offense. Greg Williams at least turned around the defense for 1 year, and he had several players pop on that defense. Whereas on the offense, you had a regression of talent. It was never fixed. It got worse, and it led to a lot of the defensive problems that we had, because you have guys out there in the fourth quarter that just completely gassed out, and you already have guys who aren't as talented. So, Adam Gase definitely catches the F-bomb. I'm not going to give Greg Williams, that type of an F. I'm just not going to. And this offense was like historically bad. Like, people want to talk about points per game given up. I mean, I could go on and on about the offensive woes of this team, over the last couple of years. And so, it's just been an absolute disaster for the New York Jets. You're talking about 10 years, no playoffs. Guess what? The Cleveland Browns made the playoffs this year. So who is the number one team on that list right now for playoff drought? It's the New York Jets. I don't want the Jets to be like where they were in the early 90s when I was growing up, and they were just absolutely awful before Bill Parcells came over and changed the culture and the attitude of this team. And I think that's important for the Jets. You have to have a head coach, not a guy that coaches the defense like a head coach, not the guy who coaches the offense like a disgruntled coordinator. We need a leader of men, someone who could be respected inside of a locker room. I think when you look at a guy like Saleh, you're seeing that. I think if you look at a guy like Bieniemy, he's coming from a place of power. You're talking about a guy who orchestrated offense with Andy Reid that just won a Super Bowl. He's seen the best. He's went through the best offensively. He knows what it takes and what you need to be successful in this league, because he has it right now. He's going to bring those blueprints with him. And I think that's really important as well. And so I'm not really sure where the Jets are going to end up on this, but the one thing that I do know is that no matter who the Jets hire, we're going to be there covering it. The moment a head coach gets hired, I will be jumping on live and going through it and talking about it with you guys. It's been an amazing experience to do this show week in and week out. I'm super excited for what we could do with the future, but it starts with you guys. We need your shares. We don't curse. We don't talk politics. And every share helps. It really, really does, because the more shares and the more views we get, the more that Facebook will allow us to maybe compensate from it. So we can get better graphics, so we can get different stats that other companies have to make the show more well-rounded, because we're all doing this for free. And so your support means everything. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's been awesome. And then I think next week we're going to do wide receivers. So we're going to be breaking down the 2020 Jets wide receiver group. We're going to be talking about the college guys, and we're going to be talking about any potential free agents the Jets can get mixed in. And so thank you so much for joining the best online Jets show that's available. It's right here at Jets Guru. I think you know that. I think we know that. And we're going to continue to make it better for you. So thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to get out of here and go enjoy the rest of the night. Hope you guys do the same. Have a great weekend. JETS, 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 Jets. Peace out.